Police in Michigan were tipped off about a big load of illegal narcotics moving through their county in a semi-truck that was destined for Canada. Officers then kept an eye out for that vehicle. And on the night of November 18, 2024, sheriff deputies located the truck and conducted a traffic stop.
Hello, how are you? Hey, sir. Hey, how are you? You mind popping the door open? Hey, how are you doing? Good, man. Do you have your license, registration, insurance with you?
What happened next would become one of the largest drug seizures in Michigan history, with over 123 pounds of pure cocaine discovered hidden behind a facade of legitimate bus parts. The interaction began like thousands of traffic stops that happen every night across America. A deputy approached the cab where 22-year-old Sucr Singh sat behind the wheel. His truck pulled over on the shoulder with emergency lights flashing behind him. The officer was polite, almost casual, asking basic questions about Singh's journey. Singh appeared cooperative, even friendly, explaining he'd been stuck somewhere for 3 days and was just trying to complete this haul. Singh had a nice setup in his cab, the deputy noted, the kind of amenities long-haul truckers invest in when they spend weeks at a time on the road. He handed over his paperwork without hesitation, explaining he was hauling for SIS Transport, a legitimate trucking company whose name was displayed on the door of his rig. The stated reason for the stop seemed mundane: missing reflective tape on the trailer's rear bumper, a minor equipment violation that truckers deal with regularly. But as the deputy examined Singh's electronic logbook on his phone, the conversation shifted toward his route and recent stops. The officer asked about Singh's duty status and when his last stop had been. Singh claimed his last stop had been at a Love's truck stop in Gary, Indiana, where he'd fueled up before continuing north toward Canada. Everything about his demeanor suggested this was routine, just another minor traffic stop that would end with a warning or small citation. Singh was hauling bus parts, he explained, showing the officer paperwork that listed housings and covers destined for a manufacturing facility across the border. He even offered to show the deputy his bills of lading, flipping through pages that documented exactly what was supposed to be in his trailer. The paperwork looked legitimate, professional, exactly what you'd expect from a commercial hauling operation. But the deputy wasn't just making conversation. He was looking for inconsistencies, gaps in the story, anything that didn't quite add up with the intelligence they'd received. Then came the questions that separate routine stops from criminal investigations. The deputy asked about weapons. Singh admitted to having a knife in his bag. The officer asked about guns, even jokingly mentioning bazookas. Singh laughed and said no, explaining that in Canada they don't allow such things. His responses seemed confident and unrehearsed, the kind of casual banter that happens during thousands of legitimate traffic stops every single day. But the critical moment arrived when the deputy asked what Singh was currently hauling in his trailer. Singh explained it was bus parts, housings and covers for buses. He offered to show the paperwork directly, handing documents to the officer that listed exactly what his cargo was supposed to be. The manifest showed industrial components, legitimate freight headed to a legitimate destination. Everything on paper checked out perfectly. The deputy asked Singh to step out and come back to the trailer's bumper to see the missing reflective tape issue. Singh complied without hesitation, walking to the rear of his trailer where the officer pointed out the equipment violation. Singh acknowledged the problem, saying he'd have to purchase new tape and would call his company about it. His cooperation continued to suggest someone with nothing to hide. Then came the moment that would change everything. The deputy asked if Singh was carrying any drugs, meth, crack, cocaine, anything like that. Singh denied having anything illegal. The officer asked about guns in the trailer. Singh again said no. Then came the question that would seal his fate. Would Singh give consent to check the back of his trailer? Without hesitation, Singh agreed, saying he'd give consent. The deputy clarified that as long as Singh was willing to open the trailer up for them, they could reseal it afterward. Singh confirmed he was good with that, giving full consent to search. This willingness to cooperate seemed like the behavior of someone with nothing to hide. He even asked if officers could make a video of the search so he could show his company what happened. Concerned about his employer's policies regarding trailer inspections, Singh explained that the trailer had bolt locks that were hard to open, but he'd handle it. He climbed up and began working on the locks while deputies prepared to inspect his cargo. The moment those trailer doors swung open, the interior looked exactly as the manifest promised. Pallets stacked with boxes, all labeled as bus parts, housings, covers, industrial components. Singh pointed out the contents, explaining what each box contained. Officers began examining the cargo while Singh stood by, ready to answer any questions. The boxes near the trailer's opening contained exactly what they were supposed to: legitimate automotive parts headed to a legitimate destination. The first inspection seemed to confirm Singh's story. He showed officers the components inside, industrial parts that matched the paperwork perfectly. Everything visible appeared legitimate. But one deputy wasn't satisfied with the surface examination. While Singh stood outside, officers asked if he had anything inside his cabin or truck. Singh mentioned only having a urine bottle, common for long-haul truckers. Officers asked if they could check the cabin as well, and Singh again consented without hesitation. His continued cooperation made him seem either completely innocent or supremely confident that nothing would be found. Something about the load distribution didn't look right to one of the deputies. For a trailer supposedly carrying thousands of pounds of metal bus components, it seemed unusually light. An officer climbed into the trailer for a closer look, moving past the first row of legitimate cargo to examine what was hidden behind it. Other deputies discussed pulling boxes and checking if any were glued or taped back together, looking for signs of tampering. That's when everything changed. Deep in the trailer, tucked behind the bus parts, were boxes that looked similar but weren't quite the same. The packaging was slightly different. One officer called out that there were boxes up in the trailer that didn't quite look the same as the others. Two boxes in particular caught their attention. The deputy called for others to come look, saying there were two boxes that seemed suspicious. The tone of the investigation shifted dramatically in that moment. Singh was told to have a seat in the patrol car. The casual nature of the stop evaporated instantly. The deputy asked Singh to come back and sit in his car with him. Singh complied, but you could hear the confusion in his voice as the situation transformed from routine traffic stop to something far more serious. Officers prepared to detain him while they investigated further.
Okay, hey, do me a favor real quick. You cool with me? I'm just gonna go ahead and detain you right now while you're in the back seat of my car, okay? So put your hands behind your back. You're just being detained right now. You're not under arrest.
Like, you have to chain me?
I'll explain everything in a minute.
Without chain me, you sit me.
You're in the back of my car now, so I said right now you're not under arrest. You're just being detained.
The deputy explained to Singh that he was going to detain him while they sorted things out. Singh was handcuffed, not under arrest yet, but detained while the investigation continued. Officers explained they were having trouble running his driver's license information and needed him secured while they figured out what was in those suspicious boxes. Singh asked what was happening, why he was being detained, the reality of his situation beginning to sink in. Back at the trailer, officers conducted field tests on the suspicious boxes. One deputy announced he got a positive result. The question arose, if they had found this, where were the guns the witness had mentioned? The deputy speculated they were probably at the bottom of the boxes. Another officer suggested checking the boxes again more thoroughly. The field test results came back definitive. It was cocaine, positive for cocaine. Officers confirmed multiple bricks had been found, asking how many there were. The response indicated there was a whole box of them. Then another box was discovered. The scope of the seizure was becoming clear. This wasn't a small amount meant for personal use. This was major weight. Deputies discussed Singh's story, reviewing what he'd told them. He claimed to be coming from Illinois, last stopped at Love's in Gary, Indiana for gas, never stopped in Michigan since then. But his GPS told a different story. It showed he was only going 3 hours away, not all the way to Canada, as he claimed. The lies were unraveling. Officers examined how Singh had given consent to search, noting that he'd been protecting something and didn't want them looking further into the trailer. That's why he'd been so cooperative initially. He hoped they'd just check the first few boxes and move on. But when one deputy asked about guns, Singh's body language had given him away, looking away before answering no.
Positive. My question is, if we have this, where are the guns?
Probably at the bottom of those boxes. I'm not going to come up and look at it again and check. That's a positive right there.
It's cocaine.
Positive for cocaine.
Back at the trailer, deputies continued removing brick after brick of cocaine. One officer commented on how heavy the packages were. Each brick weighed significant pounds. Another deputy noted this was a lot of cocaine, probably around 100 pounds just in what they'd found so far. The weight of the evidence was staggering, both literally and figuratively. A supervisor arrived on scene, and the deputy explained the situation. They'd received a call from a witness at the Welcome Center who reported seeing someone loading drugs and guns into this specific truck. The deputy had intercepted it at the rest stop, conducted the traffic stop, and Singh had been consistent with his story initially. He claimed he only stopped at Love's in Gary, Indiana to fuel up and was heading to Canada. But the GPS in Singh's truck told a completely different story. It showed him going to a destination only 3 hours away, not Canada at all. Singh had later added that he'd stopped at the weigh station, which was exactly where the witness had seen the drugs being loaded. Apparently, he'd been getting the contraband from a different truck at the weigh station, a semi-to-semi transfer with California plates on the other trailer. The witness had seen everything and called it in. Singh was taken to jail where he awaited multiple drug charges. There isn't much information about what happened to Singh after his arrest, but he could face 20 years in prison if found guilty. Police confiscated more than 123 pounds of cocaine. Investigators estimated the drugs had a street value of around $1.5 million. The DEA joined the investigation, focusing on tracking where the drugs came from and determining if they were linked to a larger drug trafficking network. According to the sheriff's office, this case represents one of the largest drug seizures in Michigan. What started as a tip from an observant citizen at a Welcome Center led to the interception of a massive cocaine shipment that would have flooded streets across the border with addiction and violence. Singh's cooperation and initial confidence couldn't save him once deputies found those hidden boxes deep in his trailer, proving that even the most professional smuggling operations can be undone by vigilant witnesses and thorough police work.